I love you too, Mitch. Thank you. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Cole Weckman. I'm currently a senior at Grandview. That was good, thank you. My twin brother and I were born in Des Moines, and I was baptized as a baby, and I lived in Des Moines up until I was around 4. Then our family moved to a small town an hour south of Des Moines called New Virginia. When I was in middle school, we began going to a church a town over where I was confirmed, part of a youth group, went on mission trips, and attended Sunday schools and services. Although I was involved in church for most of my life, I never knew Christ. I couldn't tell you one thing about the Gospels, Christ, or salvation. I just preferred not to think about it. Before knowing Christ, my life was focused on being the best, and I pursued this idol. My image, my intelligence, and my superiority over others was all that I cared about, fueled by my need to place myself above others and to prove I was better than them. I wasn't particularly athletic, but God gave me a good mind, and so this is what I used to justify my behavior. I dismissed everything and everyone that I didn't think could help me succeed, and I fought to portray to the world a certain reputation and removed anything that could put a blemish on that reputation. In my mind, I could never do wrong, and I couldn't fathom the idea that someone else was smarter than me. Caring about people has always been difficult for me. I'd spent my entire life thinking I was better than others. I was impatient, and I felt inconvenienced with everyone I spoke to because I believed they were wasting my time. I treated almost everyone with contempt and constantly cracked jokes that were only meant to put others down and raise myself up. While I had quite a bit of friends due to my ability to talk to people, I never enjoyed spending time with most of them because I thought they weren't really worth my time. Even the friends I did enjoy spending time with, I looked down on them and never really listened to them or cared about them. The reason I was friends with them was to show to the world that I could make friends and that I was a likable, friendly guy. I didn't want to care about them or anyone. I thought it would just make it harder for me to succeed. So when I came to Grandview as a freshman, this was my mindset. I'm smarter than everyone, including my professors, and so I'm here as a technicality, a backup plan if what I want to do doesn't work out. During my second week at school, I entered a relationship which lasted almost a year. During this relationship, I never viewed this girl as my equal. She was beneath me, and she was merely an accessory on the road to my success, alongside every other person I knew. I broke up with her after I realized I wasn't happy and went on my own, my success still leading my way. On the outside, it seemed like I had everything put together. I was confident in my abilities and seemed unstoppable and unaffected by most things. But on the inside, I was miserable. I was constantly filled with anxiety over the stress of trying to portray a perfect life to the world. I pushed away almost everyone who attempted to be friends with me. The lifestyle I was living was not as fun or as easy as I made it seem. It was lonely, it was draining, and it was preparing me for a meaningless life, constantly chasing the next thing that would satisfy me for the time being. After a month of drinking, moping around, and trying to find another girl or something else to satisfy that never-ending anxiety and purposelessness in me, my friend Mario invited me to a campus fellowship event. I declined, but then took him up on the offer, where he subsequently brought me to Walnut Creek. The love and hospitality I felt after just meeting these people was something I've never experienced before. It was there where I'd meet two people who would become some of my closest friends, Blake Joyner and Alec Lemke. They began to disciple me, meet with me, read the Bible with me, and tried to answer every single question I threw their way. I was fascinated by the true gospel, and I wanted to learn all that I could. After 8 months of reading the Bible and learning as much as I could, it all came together. I was sitting here in church, listening to a sermon on a Sunday in June, when it all began to make sense. I realized the true weight of my sin and how I treated everyone I've ever met, and knew that if I died right now and had to face the Lord, he would send me to hell. I realized then that Christ was my only way of making it to heaven, and I decided then and there to spend the rest of my life doing his will. I immediately stood up after the sermon and spoke to my friend Mitch, who smiled and hugged me when I told him. Christ has done an untold amount of work in me. All people are made in God's image, and they aren't simply a means to an end. The difference between me and God is infinitely greater than the difference between me and my peers. I am the least of man, but God loves me and forgives me all the same, because I have put my faith in his Son, and so why should I love others any less? Christ has shown me how valuable and wonderful people are, and he has shown me how to be patient, loving, and show grace to others. I've realized we aren't meant to walk this path alone, and since deciding to follow Christ, he has opened my heart to form relationships that I will love and cherish for my entire life. Christ commands me to love my neighbors as I would myself, and that's what I want to do. I will spend the rest of my life sharing the gospel and trying to help God's children and to do his will. I've never been more certain of anything. If anybody has any questions, comments, or concerns, I'd love to answer them after the service.